transition is with us, and it's here to stay. Global economics, technological changes at the speed of light, and social values that are changing faster than any time in the past. To help guide you along your journey in this fast-changing life, the show with a purpose: to empower, to enlighten, to educate, and to entertain. The show that offers you a friend, a guide in the most transitional time in the history of the human race. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's your host, Steve Beaman.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to this extremely special post-election edition of the Steve Beaman Show. I am here with my lovely co-host, Carol Parisi, once again, back from her family travels to South Georgia. Awfully glad to have her, and I bet you are too. Carol, welcome back to Chicago, where the Cubs win, Trump wins, and Brexit wins, and it didn't freeze over.
America is winning. Winning.
Well, we hope so. A lot to talk about on that tonight.
I just have such a breath of fresh air and a big sigh.
Well, I think, 50 million people are breathing a sigh of relief. 50 million people are kind of upset right now.
Some are so upset that they can't take their tests in college.
Well, there's a lot. This was a massive election. We all know that. So we have got a lot to talk about, though, my friends, because as much as I, too, was relieved, and I think the fair statement from me is I was relieved,
right,
I still don't know what door number 2 has in store for us.
Well, we were talking about that before we came into the studio to record here today.
There's a lot there. So we got a great show. We're going to go through the election in the Master Your World, because in the United States and around the world, what is more important than the U.S. having a new, untested, untried president? We go into Master Your Mind. We're going to talk about the 5 paths and how in today's time they're even more important than they've ever been.
There you go.
The bottom of the hour, Carol's back with our C word. And I remember when we did it the first time around, we were going to play on that.
Oh, yeah. No, we don't have to go there. Let's be nice.
We have a terrific couple of C words for you, though. And then in Master Your Money, we are going to decipher now what's going to happen in the markets and in the economy in general. And then we'll wrap it all up, of course. We're just glad you're with us once again. And we do hope you're visiting stevebeaman.com to catch the archives of what we do and to hear everything we're publishing and all the stuff we do.
Don't you still have some great articles that you did from your Master Your Life program, the Master Your Money program? Don't you have different sound bites?
400 of the. We got a lot of content up there.
There's a ton of content up there. And you know what? That stuff is awesome. I mean, there is so much knowledge up there that if you deployed that knowledge, you could create a life for yourself that you can't even imagine.
Well, and Carol, let's be realistic. Okay, and let's dig right into it. The fact is, America just had an election which half of this country came out and said, we need to change. Well, now we're going to get it.
Well, Steve, you know what I find so compelling? And yes, I was glued to the television Tuesday night. Like
most of us were.
I had the stupid, what was this thing called? My phone. I use it as a computer. I'm on Facebook. I'm pacing and praying at the same time, okay? Pacing and praying. And I'll be honest, it did not, from the sounds of everybody and the quote-unquote polling, but deep inside of me, I just know the American people were just so disgusted, because I've knocked on doors and I've always said I think Trump could win because of this populism. But
we know
I was
Congress
a little nervous.
has, what, a 3% approval rating?
Right.
We know America's pretty dissatisfied. That's a fact. And we also know the Democrats put up a candidate who wasn't exactly the poster child for reform. So we end up, and the politics is behind us now.
Yes, let's not talk politics. Let's talk policy, and let's talk people and
reality,
the populace.
Because
reality,
this show is about people. Again,
yes.
Trump has said, make America great again. And on this show, we've said countless times, let's make Americans great again.
Right.
So part of being a great American is to be aware of what's going on in the world and what happens as a result of this election. And I will tell you, Carol and I got into it in the pre-show because I am not as euphoric as many people.
No, you're not.
Because guess what? You may love what happened, but the problems we had still exist. We still have $20 trillion in debt, $600 billion in deficit. We still have a $280 billion national reserve in currency. We are still economically we're maybe not in the ER, but we're in the recovery room in a very loose way.
Okay, but this president-elect, when he takes office on January 21st, or 20th, I think, is his inauguration, right. And then 21st he'll be going to work. Do you not feel that he is going to put together his team that's going to be very pro-growth, pro-business, and do you not feel that he could be more economically... Oh, you're laughing at me. He's
because
laughing
I don't
at me. You should see
feel
his
about
face.
it. I'm going to think about it.
Oh, you So you don't like the way I talk, but the way you feel.
No, I think that's an American problem. We want to feel instead of think.
But you know, feelings do procure.
Not when it comes to this kind of stuff. This stuff's real.
I'm going to disagree with
I
you.
know you are.
I'm going to totally disagree with you because I had a compelling feeling back in 2003, 4, and 5 by reading articles on how people are, frosting mirrors with their breath and getting, loan to value of
That's
120.
not a feeling. That's called knowledge.
No, but you feel it. You feel it. You take the knowledge and you create. Okay, all right. So anyway, we've got let's not jump down this
Half of
funny
the
hole.
audience is going, I love her so much. The other half's going, he's exactly right.
What the heck is she talking about?
Right.
She's from another planet. Woohoo. Okay, so let's get to these big numbers. You have big numbers, you just said,
Well,
and
there's a lot of concern. It's not just economically, but let's look socially. Now, the fact is we gave the Republicans the House, the Senate, the presidency, and the courts.
right.
Do any of us really know what they're going to do? We can speculate based on what's been said. Here's what we can speculate. When it comes to the economy, we can expect tax cuts. We can expect regulatory relief. And we can expect renegotiated trade, which is a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I know you. That's something that you unpack that.
Well,
That's important
folks,
because
this is why I'm not euphoric, and I'm cautiously optimistic. When it comes to tax cuts, I'm all in. No problem. Let's cut them because the government takes too big a percent of our national income. That's an easy economic
But you were
issue.
saying, how do we take care of this debt and deficit if we cut taxes too?
That's why you cut regulation, so we can spurn the economy. But you're right. Those are real issues. This trade thing's different, though. And I mentioned to you last week, it was on Thursday, I think China came out with a scathing indictment of American democracy. They were not happy with this election. They are very upset that Trump got elected. They are afraid there will be a trade war between the United States and China.
Okay.
Now, you're smiling as if, go ahead. But I'm going to tell you right now, folks, if there's a trade war with us and China, China wins.
How do they win? They hurt their people.
They don't care.
But I'm sure, now come on, all
No,
the globalists in the
let's
world
not,
that for human
China's
rights.
not a globalist. China is China-centric. That's all they
understand
care
that.
about. Let's be realistic, folks. If we have a trade war with China, they can survive. They don't need American goods to survive in China.
What do we need from China to really survive? What do we need?
Semiconductors come out of Japan, which would go under the Chinese thing.
Wait, if they come out of Japan, can't we just bring them in straight through Japan?
No, because China already took over the Philippines. They've threatened the Japanese with trade sanctions if they don't side with them against the United States. China is working to recapture the Far East under their sphere of influence.
You know too much.
Well, this is the deep
and
stuff.
knowledge. See, this is This is
why
the
people need
powerful
to
knowledge.
be aware.
Yeah.
This isn't like the problems went away.
Okay, say that again. So China owns the Philippines.
Well, what happened is the Philippines, who we saved after World War II, came out 2 weeks ago and said they're renouncing their allegiance with the United States and moving it to China.
Okay, I am pretty aware of what's going on. Where do you get this news from?
I read constantly.
Well, this is why you
That came out of
unpack
one
it
of
here.
Stratford's, you know.
It's so awesome because you unpack it here for our listeners, and you're going to hear stuff here that you're not going to hear on any other. This is true news.
It's real, yeah.
This
It's
is
really
true news.
stuff. I mean, it really matters. But my whole point with this, folks, let's be cautiously optimistic. I think one of the biggest benefits of the Trump election is that economies are greatly affected by emotion. To your point,
Yes.
optimism and enthusiasm build economies. So we right now have more optimism in the economy. That will lead to more consumer spending, which leads to more corporate earnings, which leads to more jobs, and it snowballs up.
Okay.
So I would look to see the Michigan Confidence Index rise, which is good for the economy. So in the near term, we're going to have a stronger economy. But that goes back. Let's look then at the courts. We believe Trump is going to put in constitutionalists.
Absolutely.
Okay. Half the country's going to love that. The other half is going to revolt. So there's a social disconnect we're going to have to, over many
look
shows,
what's been
talk
happening the
about.
past few days. All these people are, and tell me that these people are not AstroTurf protesters. I mean,
don't know if they are or not. I just know that what they're doing is ridiculous.
well, you know what, though?
But hey, the right did it when Obama got elected.
No, they didn't do it when he got elected. They did it. They did it when they started bringing up Obamacare and not reading a bill.
Rush Limbaugh, right when he got elected, said, "I hope he fails."
That was stupid.
But
I
I'm
hope
just
that
saying,
he would be successful.
I'm not
get it.
supporting.
I
Believe
get
me,
it.
I'm not
I get
an
it. I
Obama
get it.
supporter, but my point is the left is doing now some of what the right did. California is talking about secession. Well, guess what? Texas did that. I mean,
Right. Bye-bye, California.
Right. Well, exactly. The difference is most of us would say, go ahead. Yeah, we don't want you anyway. But my whole thing is, let's be optimistic. Let's believe that we've got a good shot. We've stacked the deck. We've built the momentum. We've got the underlying stuff moved in our direction. But we still have the same problems. And we still need to work with those one person at a time.
One thing I have faith in is Trump's entrepreneurial attitude and his actions and what he has done. Any entrepreneur can put together a team and deploy a team for the higher and greater good.
No disagreement. We've stacked the deck. I just want to make sure it gets played out. I do think entrepreneurialism in America just dodged a bullet. Had Hillary gotten in, I wrote in the book, The American Dream Under Fire, a scenario which was very Hillary-centric that really quashed entrepreneurialism. So when we come back, we're going to talk on the Master Your Mind segment about the 5 paths again, because, folks, we've got the optimism. We have the strategy in place. Let's just make sure it plays out, because in your life where that rubber meets the road, it's all about how you live, not what they do.
Hi friends, Carol Parisi here. If you're like me, you're always on the quest for improved sleep and more energy. I discovered the secret to getting this. It's tart cherries and their restorative powers. It's been found that tart cherry juice, like the Cherry Bundy brand, could help to relieve aches and pains, provide faster muscle recovery, and help you get a good night's sleep. The science shows that tart cherries and Cherry Bundy are rich in antioxidants that help reduce inflammation in the body. These antioxidants also work to reduce exercise-induced oxidative stress to help your body recover faster. Tart cherries also contain naturally occurring melatonin, known as a key ingredient to a good night's rest. To learn more about the science behind tart cherry juice, check out choosecherries.com. It's full of data from independent research studies. My favorite tart cherry juice brand is Cherry Bundy, which you could find at cherrybundy.com, spelled CHERIBUNDI.com. And tell them Steve and Carol sent you.
Well, it's good to be alive, and after the last week we had, and again, I go back, the Cubs win the World Series, Brexit happens, and the United States, I don't know, we stack the deck as best it can be stacked, so I guess it is good to be alive, unless, of course, you're on the other side and going, it's not good to be alive now.
I'm a Trumper.
Well, a lot of people are, and you know the good news? You're all happy, healthy, and terrific. Here's the other side of that equation, though, is it does come down to your life.
Well, you know, this is master your mind. And I'm just going to say something about the election. On Facebook, I noticed a lot of, and I felt this way. I got out of bed on Wednesday morning and I went outside and I smelled the air and
it was cleaner. It was brighter.
I just felt better. I felt freer.
I told Carol, I'm reminded in 2008 when Obama got elected and they interviewed a woman in Florida who said, oh, thank God I don't have to make my rent payment.
Right.
I think there's a lot of people.
My phone in my car and everything's. No, that's not how I felt. I just felt, you know what? I felt freedom that I could go ahead and be the entrepreneur of who I am.
And this is truth. I felt relief. And I did because I knew door number one with Hillary was anti-entrepreneurship. Because of the regulatory and tax environment, the ability for entrepreneurs to start the new companies would have hurt. Under door number two, we open it with the Trump. I just don't know what it has. I kind of do. I hope I do.
Let's master our minds, because most 50% or 51% of Americans feel better today.
Actually, it's less than half because she got the majority of the population.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Anyway, thank God for the electoral college today.
They need the 5 paths too.
Okay, but now how about the emotional path? Now let's say, let's take the dichotomy of the emotional path, okay? I'm going to be that boohoo encouraged person that has hope again, real hope again.
And I say bully for you.
So how do you think someone from the other side is feeling right now, and how do we best all come together on these 5 paths?
Carol,
where do we meet?
I love the question, because if you have to draw from these 5 paths one thing in this show, it's about unity.
Yeah.
And it's about the fact that we all are Americans. We all are people. We all share the same fears, uncertainties, and doubts. Yeah, there's half the country in euphoria right now, half the country in depression. But I will tell you, for all of us, the great equalizer is reality. For those of you who feel euphoric, hey, the problems are still there.
Right.
For those of you who feel depressed, hey, the problems are still there.
You know what I've been seeing a lot of what's been going on is the very strong Obama supporters are feeling the same malaise that voters that did not support President Obama in 2008 and 2012.
Oh, there's no question. There's a total turning
It's
the
just
coin
so.
on its head.
As a compassionate person, I understand what they're going through. And I think here is a great place where the rubber can meet the road. At the end of the day, we still have the best, the freest country, a republic where if you stand up and speak up, your voice can be heard, unlike any other country in the world.
I think, Carol, the fact that Americans did stand up like they did, without the infrastructure to do it. This was very much just a bunch of people who said, I'm unhappy. I'm going to make a change.
You know what? I think the people are tired of elitism. But you know what? Oppressive and tyrannical behavior from anybody. I don't care if it's a parent. You know what? A good parent is not an oppressive and tyrannical parent. A good parent is an empowering parent that says, you know what? You can do this. Don't look at your limitations. Look at your capabilities. Look at what your gifts and resources are and focus on those. And I think anybody that is an American, you have it inside of you to do and be and have whatever you want and have your heart desires. This president or any president's not going to stop you.
I started my first company under a Jimmy Carter presidency. Mm-hmm. I was my most poor under a Ronald Reagan presidency. When it comes down to it, the Cubs win or lose the World Series, we still get up and go to work.
Right, life goes on.
The president comes in, the deck is stacked more in the favor of entrepreneurship and business growth. I like that. But it doesn't solve the problem. Go back to the Steve Beaman show we did about positive mental attitude and the problems with it.
Right.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Let's be optimistic. We structurally have changed the political environment for a while. But when the rubber meets the road, it's about how you get up in the morning and what you do.
What your actions are.
Your actions will speak much louder than your words. Now, again, if we back government off, more people can take actions. Good. All for it.
Okay, but now let's take a different opinion, because I think a lot of people are coming from this horrible fear that Republicans are going to take away welfare and they're going to be breaking up families. I mean, there's a lot of anxiety and anger out there, much to where the right was like, we're going to have a socialist government, which I have
been on the radio with a number of left-leaning talk show hosts, and I've told them my biggest joke point is they say Roe versus Wade is going to go. No one is talking about getting rid of Roe versus Wade. What they're talking about is maybe restricting it in the 8th, 9th, and post-birth times. Yeah. Most Americans agree with that.
Most Americans agree with that.
Most Americans, if you get them in their own living room, and
unless
you say,
it's the health of or life of the mother, if it was a
then
choice
that's that
between
parent's choice, and who knows?
That's
but
different.
Most Americans, the reality is, if you get them in the quiet of their dining room, and you say, "Where do you stand?" They say, "First, I don't even want to think about it. It's a horrible thing." But in the first month or two, I don't want girls going to back alleys like they used to. I guess I'm okay with it. What about the 8th or 9th month? Most Americans say, are you out of your mind? That's a living, breathing
right.
baby.
No, I've got to tell you, and I think I've said this, I've knocked on many doors, talked to many women, and a lot of, like you said, it's like, you know what, I don't personally believe in abortion, but I don't want somebody telling me what to do.
We are really down the rabbit hole on this. This is the emotional path, and that's tied to this issue.
This is a huge emotional issue.
Absolutely is.
And you know what? Here's what the problem is. They use this issue as a political football to divide women. I'm going to tell you what the populace... I'm going to tell you what the populists feel. You know what? It may or may not be for you personally, but at the end of the day, a woman has a right to do what she has to do with her body, and government should not pay for it. Taxpayers should not be paying for it all. And
again, most Americans
don't want to murder 9-month-old fetuses.
Most Americans will say, I don't want to pay for it.
That's the majority. That's the populace.
That is the populace. And then you've got the extremes who always come out and make their arguments, whatever they do.
You know what? Here's the deal. They say Planned Parenthood is for the rights of women, and they take care
Planned
of.
Parenthood is a business that does abortions for a living. I mean, and I'm not. Carol knows me. I'm not out in the conspiracy side.
You're
I
so
deal in
not.
fact.
But let's be real. Margaret Sanger was a eugenist.
Of course, a lot of people were in those days.
A lot of people don't know that.
I know, but a lot of people were in those days. You can't bring the ethics from 100 years ago to today and call them pari passu. It doesn't work.
Oh, Peri Parhu?
It's Latin for all things being equal. Sorry.
I love that.
Go back to training.
Hey, this is America Speak English.
But my
I'm
point
just
with
kidding.
that is we have to understand, again, like going to the specific, Planned Parenthood does offer women's health services, but they are funded and paid for by the abortions they do. Sorry if you don't like to hear that. That is a financial fact.
So what can they do? Okay, you know what? Let's be pragmatic
Yeah, I
because you
want
know
to come
what?
back to this show's about people, not about the politics and processes.
I get it, but you know what? As a woman and a woman whose mother died of ovarian cancer, and they didn't have the technology back then, I would love every woman, no matter what her financial position is, to be able to have health care that could help prevent and cure and
So
their
health care
diseases.
is a right.
Oh, we had this conversation.
I know, and I'll tell you, this is not the place for it in the Master Your Mind segment, but
But you know what? Your health care is if you think healthy and do healthy things, it's you know.
Well, here's the thing,
it's your
folks.
right to be healthy.
you guys
Take
know.
good vitamins.
Well, we preach 5 paths, right? Emotional, intellectual, physical, spiritual, and financial. And you've got to be holistic on all of them.
Absolutely.
I guess where I would come down is say that look at your life this week. Having the election we just had is a great feeling for some, a depression for others. But look at your life on those 5 paths. Are you where you want to be? Is this life giving you what you want out of it? Because that's where the rubber meets the road. We've used that phrase 5 times today, but it's such a good phrase.
It's a good phrase.
It really is. But so the question is, you sit listening to us right now, and I don't want to tamp you down if you're a huge Trumpite. I don't want to lift you falsely if you're not. I'm telling you, though, tomorrow the sun's going to come up. Next spring, the tulips are going to rise like they do every single year. There's nothing we can do about it. But what we can do is affect our life on these 5 paths.
Well, and I think we do need to come together as one nation.
We do.
And unite. And
We better
stop
bring
with-
it together because, Carol, real quick, the transitions folks we're headed toward,
Are
that
huge.
Trump doesn't change.
Right.
We're still going to have employment problems because
Right.
technology is replacing people. That's real. We need to come together to find solutions as people. I was on a talk show this morning, yesterday, whenever it was last week. I do so many of these things. But I was explaining to them the problems still exist. The question is who's best to solve the problems? Is it the people or the government?
I think we could solve our own problems if we
look
given the
forward.
chance.
We look forward.
Yes.
Government always looks rearview mirror.
Right.
So structurally, the people have to be given the freedom on those 5 paths to run life in their terms, on their way of life. And then Americans will be great. And then guess what? America becomes great.
Greater.
A funny thing happened over the past years. Responsibility for retirement got shoved onto your back. IRAs, KIOs, 401ks, and all the other alphabet soup of investment options were thrown to you with the happy statement, you're now in charge of your own retirement. The problem is, money doesn't come with an instruction book. Well, here's the instruction book with no biases, no conflicts of interest, a pure purpose to promote and provide financial education. Welcome to the Society to Advance Financial Education, a 501c3 not-for-profit organization created and sustained to help you, real people in the real world. When you need a friend in finance, someone to explain things and make them understandable to you, you need SAFE. We have spoken to hundreds, thousands of people in transition, men and women dealing with retirement, college planning, divorce, death, transitions of all kinds, and we are there to help. Visit safefinancial.org on the web and become a member. Let our educational tools help you. Welcome back to the bottom of the hour, where it's our pleasure always to bring you a word of, individual empowerment. Last week, when I was all by my lonesome, I did benign and benevolent because I thought, you know what, we need to be that as people.
Did you miss me last week, Steve?
Oh, we did. And I'm telling you, the audience is going, where is she? This guy's boring.
You were good.
He's all cerebral. Where's the feeling of the show?
I heard you. I listened to you online when I was in Georgia, which is an awesome state, by the way.
I like Georgia.
That's
So,
great.
Carol, it's back to you on this, and it is the C word. Remember we first did it going back 26 weeks ago?
Yes.
And we played around with it? Well, this
Yes.
time it's double C's, and I was like, it can't be Canadian Club.
No, you said it can't be Canadian Club. And I said, I don't know if we're going to be able to do double digit words. But you know what? Here, I picked 2 words this week.
All right.
And what I like is duality.
Uh-oh.
Well, it's part of life, you know?
I agree. Sometimes it's black and white and dual. Sometimes it's really gray
and
in the
this
middle.
works out really, really well because our positive word is courage. Courage.
Like the lion.
Yes.
Courage. You're wondering that's from The Wizard of Oz.
Yes, it is. And then the negative word, quote unquote, is cowardice. I mean, they're totally the antithesis of each other.
Cowardice comes out of the movie Storybrooke, or the ABC series Storybrooke, where Rumpelstiltskin was a coward.
So was
Sorry, I've been
the
watching that with
lion.
my
The
daughter.
lion was a coward,
But
which
he was
needed
also
to
courageous.
he had to find his courage.
Right.
But
Well, these are interesting words, because I think courage and cowardice are greatly misunderstood.
I agree with you.
What's the genesis of your thinking of these?
Well, first of all, I started thinking about these words early in the week by the time the election was going on, and I was listening to some things of our founders, and our founders were very courageous. To go ahead and come against a king, that was courageous.
Enormous courage. They risked their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor.
Everything. Okay. I mean, so that word courage, and then you influencing me, you like the double letters. And I said, well, you know, I mean, there's a lot of cool words out there with C, but no, courage was a really important, and plus we just had Veterans Day back on Thursday. So courage.
Bring me to a personal life. Show me how I, as a listener, and I'm with you guys now. I'm sitting in the car, I'm driving down the road, and I'm listening to Carol Parisi talk about courage and
that's cowardice.
thank you, brain freeze.
Okay, they're the antithesis.
Yeah. So
Most
tell me
people-
what I could do as a human being to be courageous.
Okay, most people do not do things and step out of the box because of fear.
So
which
stepping
is
out of the box is courage.
certainly. If you are cowardly and you are suffering from cowardice, if you're fearful of something, which is a cowardice, if you will, there's a fear to do it. It's the fear of the unknown.
Oh, wait. Now, wait. Because you're saying to me that courage could be the college student who's afraid to give a speech in front of the class.
Absolutely.
Step out of their comfort zone and deliver it. That's
Absolutely.
courage. The
Absolutely.
person right now driving down the road going, man, I know I need to go get that job, or I need to make that thing happen, but I'm scared because what if it doesn't happen?
Fear is an oppressor. Fear is an oppressor. I mean, look
ultimate.
Yes. But see, there's also a good fear. There's a reverential fear. And I'm going to give you an example. My son would be in the crib. And one time he tried to get out of the crib. He fell, screamed. Never did that again. So there was a fear there because he knew what could happen from experience.
You burn your hand on a stove,
Right.
you won't do it again.
So sometimes fear and cowardice serves you because
and so does courage.
Absolutely.
So
Now,
these
is there
aren't
a
always-
negative side of courage too? I think there could be.
I think,
when we let our emotions get the best of us, all right, I'm going to go run into the middle of the
fear
street.
can be negative or positive. Courage can be negative or positive.
Right.
So in your life, again, I'm driving down the road and I'm listening to Carol and I'm thinking, well, I'm courageous because I've stepped out of my comfort zone most of my life and lived in a space that made me scared initially. But you know what? When we first started doing this radio program, I'd never done this before.
Right.
It's totally weird to put your voice out there and have,
Right.
I don't know how many people listen to us around the world, 1 million, 5 million, 20 million, 100 million. I don't even know
Right,
the number.
right.
But it's an interesting conundrum when you're saying, okay, I'm going to say what I think on air.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
But
I totally
So it
agree
took
with
some
you.
courage for us to do it.
But, we
But
cannot
it's
live in
fear of the Federal Communications Commission that keeps me from saying some of the things I want.
Well, sometimes we have to be respectful too. Believe me, in my Italian voice, sometimes there's some words that I wouldn't be able to say.
You nationalist.
No. Hey, you know what? Here's the deal. Be courageous. Be courageous. Don't feed the fears. And I think that also has a lot to do with this election too. I think there was a lot of fear mongering out there
Oh,
from
there's a
both
great deal
sides.
of it. That's how politicians win, is
Which
they
is-
scare you into voting
You
for
know
them.
what? That's despicable. That
Well,
is
but that's both sides.
manipulative.
That's both
I
sides.
said from both sides, absolutely unequivocally. I
One
said
of
both
the
sides.
things, friends, when we started doing this show, Carol and I talked about the fact that we were going to talk about politics, but it wasn't going to drive us because we're not about fear. We're about hope, real hope for real people.
Right.
And it's the idea that you can live your life, you can get out of it what you want, but you have to have certain fundamental basics in place, like these words of empowerment. When you get up each day, you know, there used to be a thing called Bits and Pieces. It was a little booklet that business people subscribed to.
Okay.
And it was one of those little, tiny booklets, and it had all positive stories in it. That's kind of cool. We feed our mind with this and fill our minds with this stuff, and it becomes you.
Yep.
So these words are a real part of really living for tomorrow.
Yep. Well, Norman Vincent Peale used to send a monthly thing too. You know what?
Actually, I think his organization is what did Bits and Pieces.
Bits and Pieces? That'd be very cool to see
Good
it.
stuff. But when we come back after this, we are going to unpack the economic realities in mastering your money. Just finished tax time, and I know, like me, many of you are thinking, wow, this gets more complicated every year. I'm Steve Beaman, and my friends at Greeby & Associates have been helping individuals and successful businesses for over 20 years. In construction, they say measure twice and cut once. In accounting, trust me, research and plan before you act. When you need powerful tax and accounting advice for you or for your business, contact Greeby & Associates at 630-653-3510. Visit Greeby & Associates.
Now, back to the Steve Beaman Show for insight on your money and the nation's financial future.
Well, welcome back on this post-election edition of the Steve Beaman Show. I am Steve Beaman here with my co-host Carol Parisi, and we're hoping that you go to stevebeaman.com to see all that we do and publish, because ultimately this show is all about you. And folks, we want to mention we're sponsored by the Society to Advance Financial Education, a not-for-profit organization that's dedicated to helping you on that financial path. You got to get that one right. No more excuses. No more blaming the government. Now you got to get your financial path right. So SAFE is there for you. Visit them at safefinancial.org. We also talked about the Job Foreman's Company and MoneyStop, moneystop.net if you need some emergency money or need some check processing capability, and Job Foreman's if you really are looking to transition in jobs. You need these people's resources.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more jobs created now, so Job Foreman's is the way
Job
to
Foreman's
go.
is positioned well for
And
it.
if you are entrepreneurial and you have a small business, there's nothing like the Money Stop. They're your
absolutely.
source and resource
Immediate cash, check process, all kinds of stuff. And we do want to mention our friend Sherry Bundy here on the camera. When you come to stevebeaman.com and look at our video, you'll see Sherry Bundy. Because those folks have a delicious product. But here's the deal. Okay, we now don't speculate. We now came through the election. We're up to this. We've talked several times about what might happen. Now let's talk about what is happening.
Okay, what's happening?
Well, first of all, the night the election was happening, the markets, most people saw this, crashed to the point that the overnight futures markets were stopped. They were suspended.
Oh, were they really? Because
Yeah.
they got to like 800, and after that, that's when they put the stops
They put
on?
the stops in. So that's a Brexit effect.
Okay.
Now, I wrote people I know that night, and I said, don't panic. This is a Brexit effect. And Brexit, it took a couple of days to rebound. Well, as we do things faster than Europe all the time, it rebounded by the next morning.
It was like 250 or 280
We
the
had
day
a
after the
1,000-point
election.
swing in the markets in 24 hours.
Can I mention something? And
Of
I don't know if
course.
this means anything, but I remember in 2012, the market, after Barack Obama was elected the second time, went down 350 points.
Markets frequently do that. They just do.
Okay, but why would it have done the antithesis? Just a question. It's a question.
Here's the fear. Okay. Trump has said several times, I'm going to start a trade war.
Okay.
Everybody knows that's bad. Don't do that. We will lose if you do that.
But why would it have gone up then the second day?
Because what happened then is, as what are called the pajama traders, the overnight guys, when they kind of put all that negatives in it, everybody in the institutional world starts saying, okay, you know what? That's a lot of emotional stuff. What's reality?
Okay.
We're going to get lower taxes and lower regulation and repatriate a couple of $1 trillion of stimulus money from our corporations. Geez, that's actually pretty bullish for the economy.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. You just said repatriate a couple $1 trillion?
Yeah,
okay,
American
how
companies,
pray tell are we doing that?
American
I like
companies sit on overseas cash. They own it, but it sits in overseas bank accounts because if they bring it back here, they get taxed on it. So they don't bring it back.
it. Really?
So once we cut the taxes, they can bring the cash back, and that's stimulus money for our economy. That's all good. And so what happened is the institutional marketplace, the real money, came in and said, you know what, all this talk of trade stuff, he's not going to do it. He's got Larry Kudlow around him and a whole bunch of smart guys. No way. Taxes, yeah. Regulations, yeah. Okay, that's all good. In fact, the mining companies and drilling companies are going to do really great.
Yeah.
Medical companies and the drug companies who were beat down thinking Hillary was going to get elected, those are going to do great. geez, this is not bad. Let's buy. Everybody buy.
So why are the drug companies going to do so well?
Well, everybody knew under a Hillary administration, the regulatory situation would be redoubled. Much more regulation on drugs, on patents, and all this stuff. Well, under Trump, it'll be deregulated, so drug companies have more money to put into R&D, more money to come out with new things, more money to build their business.
Do herbs instead.
Well, we can have a show about
well,
that.
you know what? I will say something. There are a lot of, in fact, Dick Durbin, the senator from Illinois, had a big thing that he wanted to take away folks' right to take herbal medicine and want to make vitamins all prescription
There
and
was a
herbs
big-
all.
What Carol's talking about is there's this whole natural side of the pharmaceutical thing. Well, they're not pharmaceuticals, but the drug thing, right?
Phytopharmaceuticals.
And so what
That's my
happens is
world.
these companies who have all natural supplements
Yes.
go out, and because they're natural, the FDA doesn't regulate them.
Right.
Well, they wanted to throw those under the FDA.
But everything has to pass the USP, the pharmacopoeia. It has to. I mean, they can't be toxic. They
Well,
cannot.
no, they have
can,
to, well, a natural substance like vitamins.
vitamins.
Okay, these are natural things. They're not going to hurt you. The standard of performance for a supplement is that it doesn't hurt you.
Right.
The standard of performance for a
Right.
pharmaceutical item is that it helps you. Doesn't care what it does to you negative.
Well, but it does do a
helps.
lot of negative, and
Well, that's why if you read these things, taking our drug might cause you depression, suicidal thoughts, cancer, and everything else, but it might cure your hiccups.
So herbs
Anyway.
are food. But anyway, how is this going to master our money?
So
I'm
exactly.
sorry.
So let's go back, folks. Here's the thing. You've got a 401k, a KEO, an IRA. You've got a financial advisor, and you're going, okay, I see the market's being skittish. Here's what's happening right now to the institutional money. They're looking at door number 2, Donald Trump won. And they're saying, we think we feel good about this, but we still have debt, deficit, and all these problems. How's he going to deal with it? So they're watching every single day. I think a really interesting day was Thursday. Thursday morning, it was announced Trump was going to go visit with Obama. The market dropped 1.5%.
Okay.
He came out and they said, we had a good meeting. The market ran up 1.5%.
Well, because the market doesn't like chaos.
The market's concerned about uncertainty. They just want to know everything's smooth and okay. We're not going to have trade
So
wars.
they're not
We're
courageous.
Well, they're no. Markets are fearful. And if you've ever had money in the
So they're
market, you know that
cowardice.
fear. It's like, it's very cowardly. I'm on that sell button all the time. So I think it's important for you, first of all, to remember markets naturally have volatility, but our economy grows. And as the economy grows, markets get better. So you can expect the stock market to perform better than it would have. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know.
So you're proselytizing here? Are
Well,
we going
you're
to
going to
have
have interest rates go up in December. The Fed's pretty much going to do that. I
Okay.
think that's going to cause the market some grief because when there's an alternative and I can now go to a bond and actually make money, why would I buy stocks?
This could
just
be a whole show all by itself. You know?
Well, and we're going to do many more of these. So you got to stay tuned for all of this. I don't know what it's called, information.
Information, valuable information,
hope it's
information to empower and change your life right here at the Steve Beaman Show every Sunday at 8 p.m.
And online at stevebeeman.com.
And write us if you have questions.
At carol@stevebeeman.com.
Welcome back to this great edition of the Steve Beaman Show. This is Carol Parisi. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We hope we've served you with great knowledge, power, and information. And
It's
Steve,
our mission statement
it is. It's all about you.
to empower the individual and make an American great.
You know what? I got to tell you though, I learn something from you every time I sit down with you and talk to you, and you're a wealth of valuable knowledge. That if you could take that knowledge and apply it to different areas of life, I can see much success happening.
That is why I started writing stuff years ago. I wanted to go to the average normal people and say, if I could take 100 million Americans and tell them what I know about money, having lived my life in it, we'd have a better country. So I wrote The Path to Prosperity and thought, here it is, data dump, everything I kind of know about the stock market.
You know what? It was so funny when I first started sitting down talking with you about some of this stuff. You were telling me about how my shoes cost me thousands of dollars. And it's like, no, they didn't. I got them on sale. So it's that investment principle. If you took that money that you were putting into those shoes that you really don't need because you got other shoes to walk around with, and if you saved it
And compounded it.
and
I mean, it's the
compounded
joke.
it.
So, and the bottom line of that, and I've talked to my kids so much about it, Save like you're going to live forever. Pray like you're going to die tomorrow.
Oh, I like that.
That's from Ben Franklin, I believe.
He was a brilliant founder.
So yeah, we talk about the nature of money, and that's why I start. So getting back to what caused that, my idea is that if we can take what we know and we can talk to all of America about it, maybe there's something there to help an individual go, I get it now. I'm going to live a better life.
I really wish schools taught some of these principles. But now, Steve, we talked in the first segment a little bit about the election, and some people are happy, some people are not happy. But at the end of the day,
it is what it is.
And
I don't know where you're going.
we're all going to be great. Everything's going to be just fine.
At the end of the day, it's about us, right? It's not about what they do. How we all elected Trump to get Washington out of our lives.
Absolutely.
So, okay, let's assume he does it. Great. Well, then it's up to me. I got to get up tomorrow. I got to do what I do to make money. I got to do what I do to raise my kids.
Now people are going to be dying in the streets because they don't have health care, and people are going to be starving all over our country.
I can't stand irrationality.
I gotcha.
That drives me nuts, and that's an irrational perspective.
Start a charity. Start a charity.
You know, I told you, Carol, I believe the government should quit incentivizing everything in a sense. It should stop the home mortgage deduction. It should stop all these things, but it should keep a tax credit for charitable deductions. I'd like to see St. Jude's flourish with money. I'd like to see the Red Cross have more money. I'd like to see, whatever 501c3 charity that does, I'd like to see them have lots of money.
Well, and then in our second segment, we talked about the 5 paths, and we were like all over the 5 paths, but at the end of the day, they all come together. Is that correct?
We were, because if times of transition are what those 5 paths are about, this show is exactly where you want to be right now, each and every Sunday night.
Well, because the 5 paths are the physical path, the emotional path, the spiritual path, the
intellectual path,
and the financial path.
You put those together, and it's a pretty robust life.
Absolutely. And then our words were...
Oh, we went down on the courage and cowardice words. And so important stuff, folks, for you to take to heart. It's real. And then we talked in Master Your Money about what's going to happen here. The market's going to go up or it's going to go down. You can rest assured on that.
Oh, that was weak. Steve's going to be running for office real soon here. He's not like a politician. Well, they're going to go up or down.
Well, they talk about two-handed economists. Well, the market's going to go this way on this hand, but on the other hand, at any rate,
a lot of people are planning for like Armageddon, for everything to crash, and the markets are going to crash. Everybody's going to lose their money. What happens if we all lose our money? What happens?
Well, then we'll go back and we'll grow grapes in our backyard.
How can we grow grapes? We don't have the environment here in Illinois.
Hey, I want to say thanks to our sponsors again. The Society to Advance Financial Education, Sherry Bundy, the moneystop.net, not .com, .net, and Job Foreman's. Great people, and John Grebe at 630-653-3510 if you need a good accountant. Hey, and we want to thank, of course, our producer, Jim Thompson, who really does a great job. And I want to thank him especially for last week when I had to do this on my lonesome, and it's because of his love and support that I got it done.
You guys sounded great. And hey, what is it always?
It is from our heart to your hearts we do this show because, my friends, when the rubber meets the road, when it all comes down to it, your life is about how you handle it.
It's your life. Go live it.
Right.
Be the change you want to see in the world. End of story.
You remember in Caddyshack, be the ball.
That
was Chevy Chase, right? Be the ball. So we want you to be the life.
Yes.
My friends, have a blessed week ahead. We'll see you this time next on Sunday night. Don't forget to visit stevebeaman.com. Blessings, my friends.
Bye-bye.